For those of you tuning in on Facebook, welcome to episode 3 of the Wolves Coffee Hour. 2 weeks ago we had basketball. Last week we had softball, and now we're pulling out the big guns on episode 3. So here we go. For those of you that want to ask questions, you can comment live on this Facebook video as they pop into your head, or you can head on over to Twitter and ask those questions. You just got to tweet at Wolves Athletics, hashtag Wolves Coffee Hour. That's at Wolves Athletics, and you got to have hashtag Wolves Coffee Hour in there, and we'll sprinkle those in. We got Ashley helping us field questions today. Today I got my co-host here. I said it last week. I'm going to say it again. Top 5 golfer in the city. I'm just throwing down the gauntlet for him, actually. We're going to interview our boss and our boss's boss. So no pressure, right, Austin?
No, none at all.
Yep. Just the light work, average Thursday. I'll introduce our first guest here. We have 17th president in NSU history, Dr. Tim Downs. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How you doing, Adam?
Pretty good. So far, so good. No slip-ups yet, so we'll see. And our other guest, we got NSU Athletic Director Josh Moon. Josh, how you doing?
Doing good, Adam. Beard's looking good.
Okay. I can sense the sarcasm, but I appreciate it nonetheless. So we're gonna start off pretty easy here. I won't grill you guys yet. Starting with Dr. Downs, I know you're kind of one of the few people still working on campus, but outside of that, what's going on? What have you been doing at home? Any shows you've been binging?
Well, I can work at home or I can work on campus. I just call all day. I'm Zooming. I call people and Zoom in. So I guess that's the new verb of this 2020. We're all Zooming. Doing pretty good. When I'm working at home, the biggest challenge is to not get something to eat every time I walk through the kitchen.
Yeah.
It's
like instead of the freshman 15, it's like the quarantine 15. It's like it's like its own little deal there.
Yeah. I gotta start walking the dog more because this is serious.
You can't go into the kitchen without opening the door to the fridge. What's the point in going to the kitchen if you're not going to open the fridge, right?
Oh, well, the problem is this week I had a birthday, and my wife made these 2 cakes for me. So every time I walk in the kitchen, it's like, well, just a little slice. It's just a little slice. It's getting pretty small.
Yeah. Well, I had it in my notes to wish you a happy belated birthday, but so there it is, I guess. How are you turning 27?
Yeah, I'm sticking at 39. Yeah.
Okay. We'll go over to Josh.
They're all 39.
Oh. Yeah.
No, yeah, they're all.
Josh,
my mom always taught me every birthday since she's been 30 years old, she's turning 30. Every year she's turning 30. That's what she's told me. So
yeah, it works.
Savvy play. Josh, what have you been up to? Any shows you've been binging? Are you on the Tiger King bandwagon, or what do you got going on?
Yeah, I've been balancing watching action adventure movies with my kids. They're into Mission Impossible right now, so we ran through that series, Fast and the Furious, and then with the shows on Netflix, I like Ozark a lot. I think it's a great show. The tough thing, I was thinking about this today, is how morally bankrupt can you be in terms of every person in that show, essentially. So you almost have to flush. After you watch an episode or two, you almost got to just get that out of your system and think about something else but it is a really good show. So I have been watching that one.
Where are you at there?
I think we're in episode 7 or 8, maybe.
Oh yeah.
Season 3. Yeah.
I mean, Ozark is pretty much Breaking Bad, but in a more humid climate. So it's pretty good. It's enjoyable. Going back to Mission.
I've been
I want to know
oldies.
Oh,
yeah, I've been watching a lot of old movies. Old Clint Eastwood. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Big Clint Eastwood fan.
Yeah. So I'm watching a lot of westerns. Yeah, old classics.
Before we go on to our next segment, I just want to ask one question about the Mission Impossible series. How is that series still going? I mean, don't get me wrong, they're good, but in every single one, plot twist, turns out the mission actually is possible. So, it's like, it getting predictable? I don't know. Tom Cruise, ride that train as long as it goes, I suppose.
It's not mission difficult, Adam. It's mission impossible. So it is. I think when you look at each one of those movies, how many times can it get down to 1 second before the world explodes or nuclear meltdown or something happens? But it's Ethan always comes through though. It's amazing.
I think at the end they should start playing that one song. What is it? I Am the Man. You know, remember that song? Oh yeah, that should be their closing song, every one. You know, because he always gets out of it and doesn't explode. And
yeah.
Adam, can we shift gears and maybe throw this back on the host for a minute? I know you've got an affinity for a certain 1980s movie that maybe it's a little bit, I don't know, obscure, a cult classic. Would you say? Can you talk more about that?
Well, and I warned a few people that I was going to try to sneak this into the show, so I appreciate that. I just want to pay homage to the best movie of all time. Now this is a Sly Stallone movie, Sylvester, and really in his prime, and it's called Over the Top. Now, quick minute rundown for those of you that haven't seen it. Sylvester Stallone is a retired professional arm wrestler turned truck driver back into the arm wrestling game to win a truck to get his son back. So, you've got family elements, strength. He's got kind of a Nautilus system in his truck so he can work on it while he's long road trucking. That's my favorite movie of all time. And maybe we'll just roll that into another question here. Josh, what is your favorite movie of all time? And you cannot steal mine. Over the Top is tape.
I break arms, drive truck, and arm wrestle. It's what I like to do. It's what I do best. That's the best line.
I say that at least once a day.
You know what? I like the movie Heat. It's in the mid '90s. It's got Robert De Niro and Al Pacino in it. It's a lot like a Los Angeles crime saga, I guess they call it. That's my favorite movie.
Dr. Downs, you want to go with you, or Austin can go? Give you some time.
No, what I was thinking of is what movies can I not turn off? So one of them, I think that I really, really like is Remember the Titans.
Classic.
There's a lot of good sociology of race and culture and learning how to be, a young leader and a follower. And it was set in a great time, great music, great soundtrack, awesome soundtrack. Yeah. So it's one of my favorites.
Little James Taylor.
That was a phenomenal answer. Austin, that's a tough one to follow. You got a good one for us?
Well, it's funny he said that. My favorite of all time has always been The Departed with Wahlberg and Nicholson and Matt Damon. But when you say movies that are on TV, like he said, that you can't turn off, Remember the Titans is actually what comes to mind. It's probably because it's on TV a lot, but when it comes up, I've always, other than the last play of the movie, which is just ridiculous, great film.
Kind of going into our next one. I mean, I think my movie that I picked probably has the best soundtrack. Just a barrage of Kenny Loggins hits. So it kind of goes into our next question. People have probably been spending a little bit more time at home than usual. And we're gonna go. What's a musical artist that you listen to a lot around the house? I know Josh, Legacy of the Beast, big Iron Maiden guy. You got what else do you listen to?
Yeah, that's a great question. I've been actually during quarantine, and maybe next time we can bring this out. We've got the Flying V guitar here. You can't really see that.
I thought we were gonna get a live performance. Can you play something? Can you play something for us?
No, we're still working on some things, but actually I've been playing a little more guitar these days. But I'm a metal guy. I'm into hard rock, so that's kind of what I try to balance that. My wife is more top 40 friendly music, so it's a little bit of a conflict in our house.
Gotcha. So what are you trying to kind of indoctrinate the kids, get them started on the metal early, or what do they listen to?
You know, they're big into Rocky IV soundtrack, or the Rocky soundtrack. So you can play that continuously, work out to it, you know.
Yeah.
So it's a good family go-to.
That's good. Dr. Downs, I don't know if I would maybe peg you as a heavy metal guy per se. Maybe you are, but what are you listening to around the house here?
I actually downloaded XM on my phone. So
okay.
If you have a subscription, you can actually get it on your phone. So I'll listen to like XM classic rock, maybe lithium alt rock. And then I just came across one that I really like. I like old country, so it's called Willie's Roadhouse. It's got like George Strait, you know, all those guys were really good ballads and great songs and great guitar playing. One of the guys that I probably can't turn off is Stevie Ray Vaughan. I love Stevie Ray Vaughan. It was tragic that he died so young, but what a talent, great lyrics. Just when you hear a song and you really like it, for me, that means I double the volume. So I'll go to
That's
like
good. So
15 to 30.
Yeah. So you and Josh are kind of both ballad guys, one metal kind of heavy rock ballad, and you're kind of more on the country end. So, you know, some similarities there. Austin, round us out. You know, you're going for a drive because that's one of the only fun things you can do these days. What's on the radio?
I'm kind of a, Josh knows, 90s guy a little bit. I like a little bit of older. I like the older country as well, more the George Strait, Garth Brooks stuff, a little older country, and then some 90s, the old Matchbox 20. Hopefully that kind of still happens in September. But I know, so Josh, I know you mentioned Andrea. I was kind of curious. I saw Dr. Downs and Mary out playing. Are you guys driving the wives crazy yet, or you guys able to go out, walks, play a little golf?
I just get sent to my room. Yeah.
It's good.
Well, before we move on,
there's another band that they're not really widely known, but if you're driving, one of my favorite bands is a band called Big Bad Voodoo Daddy. You guys ever heard of them?
I haven't, but now I'm going to Google them. I have.
Oh, they're
That was
awesome.
my nickname in high school, actually.
Big Daddy?
No. And you know, I know, Josh, maybe you want to talk a little bit about this. I know you're a big Limp Bizkit fan, right?
You know, yeah, we probably need to get off the music theme here at some point, but they're kind of a misunderstood band. You know, there actually is some good material there if you can get past some of the stuff there. So yeah, I do occasionally have that going in the office. Maybe that's something I don't want to admit too often, but it's okay. We're all friends here.
Guilty pleasures. Okay. Kind of switching gears here a little bit more of a serious question. You know, off to the south side of the Barnett Center, a lot of dirt is starting to move over there. So, you know, starting with Dr. Downs, could you kind of give us a little update where we're at now that we've transitioned into the third and final phase of construction, you know, for the capital campaign that's been ongoing here?
Absolutely. Well, we're good to go. We have sufficient resources to start this last project, and the regional sports complex, you know, includes Dakota Bank Stadium and the Keeler Softball Hall of Fame field for women's softball. So the first phase was to get the asbestos out of the old School for the Blind, and they did that in February. March was actually tearing out the old building and all the utilities. You know, you'd be surprised of all the stuff that's kind of buried under a place like that. We're still finding little gems, but pulling them all out because that stadium is going to start to be built. But like you said, the excavation is really just, if you think about it, you're just scraping the whole top off and really getting that thing down to it's at the construction level, and then we'll build it back up. So that excavation is pretty close to being done. And then the next thing they go into is they start putting in the pillars and the pilings, which will actually be the foundation that holds up the building. And then, so we'll start to see like little steel girders coming out of the ground, and that's the foundation. So we're really into the early phases. You can do the construction without worrying about COVID because, you know, there's only one person driving the earth mover and they can keep a distance. So all the construction guys are staying safe, but it's given us that opportunity to get started. So it's kind of just a quiet start. We don't have the ability to do a big grand opening and ribbon cutting. We'll get to that later. We'll just have a few more things sticking out of the ground when that happens.
Yeah, and you guys can probably see if you look at Josh's background there, that's a pretty nice rendering and a nice view. You know, in the far background, you can see that side of the Barnett Center. Josh, anything to add on where they're at from a construction standpoint, or maybe talk a little bit about, you know, this is a project you've been working on, you know, for the better part of, I don't know how many years now, you know, at least 3 or more. You know, from a personal standpoint, what's that feeling of satisfaction now that it's kind of finally coming to fruition?
Well, this is something that, you know, I didn't know much about Northern before I took this job almost 8 years ago, and you could see that this was long overdue, and it never really got anywhere. And I think we had the right time, the right project, right vision, right leadership is probably the key thing here. And when Dr. Downs got here, I gave him a ton of credit because it's a pretty bold step here to do what we're doing, and pretty ambitious. And I think that's a good representation of what Northern is. And you know, we're not this school that's, you know, we got so many things to be proud of. And I think that's kind of emblematic of this project. Is this is a pretty big step, and it's long overdue and something Northern's ever had. So I think it fits nicely with, you know, kind of being it is the capstone of this campaign. And then what it's going to do for the next 100 years of this institution is amazing, and for the community. So, yeah, it's exciting. It's awesome to see. I was out there today, and just seeing some of the progress already in the first week is pretty phenomenal. So, credit to Dr. Downs, Dakota Bank, Jim Keeler, Jim Thayers. You know, their vision really got this thing. There's a bunch of other people too, but just amazing to see this thing actually happening.
Josh, following up on that, I know one of the best parts about this has been seeing all the different things that are going to come with the stadium. What are some of your favorite features as far as whether it be VIP rooms, seating? What do you think people are going to like the most about the stadium?
Yeah, the game day experience that really Northern couldn't provide at our current location, and really, you know, something that if you go down to SDSU or go to NDSU or you know, you go to a Big Ten game or NFL game, it's going to be some of those kind of amenities that for our fans they can come in and expect, where you're going to have a VIP experience, club level seating, all these things, different things you touch from the pregame festivities to, you know, to tailgating, to the game itself, to post game fireworks, concerts, you know, all those things that we think again that we've been missing here is some of those stuff are those things are probably stand out. And then the facility itself, I think the locker room is going to be phenomenal. It's going to be the best at our level for sure. The club room upstairs is going to be for campus, and maybe Dr. Downs can talk about that. But just the different things with events and being able to hold you know, academic ceremonies and things like that up there, and then the softball field. I'm really excited about that because really our softball program has had no field, and I've been at games out to the Moxon Creek complex where, you know, we've had players leave the dugout to hold up a temporary fence in the middle of a game. You know, you had half the entire benches out there because it's blown over, and so their experience is going to be transformed. Having a turf field that again it's going to be the best one in 3 or 4 state radius by far. Any level, Division I, whatever, I think it's going to be the best in Division II. So I'm really proud, really excited about that.
Yeah, can I?
Dr. Downs, do you want to talk about some of the things you're excited about?
I mean, if you think about the boldness of what we're towards I guess we're in the 7th inning stretch, you know, putting in 3 residence halls, science building, athletic and rec field, school for the blind, which allowed us to do the land swap, and then gives us the opportunity to build a regional sports complex. The asset, because all these things are assets, and they attract more students to come visit campus and more students to start coming to Northern, and we're building up more programs, undergraduate, graduate. All these things are, things that have to happen. It's a convergence. So all these assets are important. The one that's really neat that Josh kind of mentioned in his list was this Champions Club at the second floor of the addition to the Barnett Center. That's going to be able to hold 350 people for a sit-down meal. That's pretty phenomenal. And it's not just for our campus. If anyone in the community wants to rent it, you fill out the form, you go through the logistics, we cater it through our caterer, Aramark, and we can host a wedding reception for 350. That's an asset for the community. We're not just building something that's for Northern, it's for the region because we're a regional university. So it's just all these things will add to what we have done as a university, as well as Aberdeen. The number of assets that have been built in Aberdeen, like the library, Boys and Girls Club, the Y, the pool, all the list goes on and on. It's a very vibrant community that believes in itself, and these are just more symbolic representations of just that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's community service, entertainment, kind of on all fronts here. I'm going to sprinkle in a fan comment here, not necessarily a question, but, Rebecca from Facebook, she just wanted to let us know her son played baseball here in 2017, and he just graduated top of his class from U.S. Coast Guard last Wednesday. So that's Preston Brown. So congrats, Preston, on graduating Coast Guard school. And thanks, Rebecca, for that comment. Yeah, and another one quick here. Actually, a person who had a role similar to Austin and I a couple years back, Blake Day, is wondering any naming opportunities still available for football or softball. Maybe either of you want to touch on that. I think the softball field name is taken, and I believe the football stadium's named as well. So, but
right. Well, it's one of the things that we're now at the point where we have the construction drawings, and you can actually show in the drawing where there's a certain space. So that is an opportunity for us to talk to people if they would like a specific space named after themselves, their wife, their family, their company, to really show that they're partners in this project. And those are things that we're subtly going about during the construction phase.
Yeah. So Blake, if you want to name a concourse, call me up, I guess. There you go.
Yeah. Well, I think we're up to 72 locker plaques sold for football. So, we want to get to 115 and people can do those over 5 years. And for softball, we have a couple opportunities there for alumni, even at the $1,000 and up level. So that we've been trying to push that with our alumni and just so we can, this is the time. These are once in a lifetime facilities, and for people to be a part of that. And we have tons of alumni that have gone on and done some wonderful things. And I think it's just a way to kind of, we've been saying leave your legacy, but just, the Northern played a special role in their development and their personal life. A lot of folks, they met their spouse here or whatever. And that's what we're asking people right now, is just to think about the big picture and help us get this going to where we want it to, the level we want it to be at.
Absolutely. And that project's kind of been a baby of Austin's. Austin, anything to add about, the locker plaques or opportunities or any other information you'd like to share on that?
No, I mean, we've had really good alumni support so far for the locker plaques. Like Josh said, we're at 72. And I just urge the alumni to keep encouraging their fellow teammates and classmates from years past to join the cause. And it's been kind of a snowball effect. It's been really awesome. The guys, the alumni have been really good. So. Yeah.
And then, before we move on here, I'm just going to keep peppering in these fan questions. This one comes from a guy by the name of Parker Fox. I believe he plays basketball here at Northern. He's wondering, can Josh Moon tell us about his home workout routine? The world needs to know.
Parker, I miss seeing you, buddy. I just for the record, I could dunk at some point, but yeah, we're still. I guess the workout routine. One of the perks of being at Northern is we do have the ability to use the facility and kind of get into some routine. So I think the biggest thing for me is, I know this is a sarcastic question probably, but it is just consistency and trying to make sure you do something every single day. That's my key, and I really haven't changed a whole lot since college, to be honest with you, in terms of what I do. So I think Coach Fritz makes fun of me all the time with what I do, but I don't know, it seems to work. I can still have some Doritos and soda, stuff like that. So I don't know.
Yeah, and I know one of your favorites is the Mellow Yellow, so you got to kind of maybe burn that off in advance, I guess, huh?
This is the content people are tuning in for right here.
That's it.
It is.
Absolutely.
So, next question here. I know at some point in both your lives, you're both student athletes. What lessons do you think you learned from sport that you wouldn't necessarily have learned otherwise?
Well, Josh has heard this story before. When I was in high school, I did 2 to 3 sports, depending which year you picked. But I always ran track. So Adam, that's a big thing for you. Go track.
Appreciate that. Go track.
So what I learned was my coach sat me down. He actually yelled at me one day, and he said, "Come here." And I said, I thought I was in trouble. And he wanted to talk to me. He said, "What are your goals?" And I was like, well, I was a sprinter. He said, I said, run fast. He goes, well, how fast? And so we had this conversation. And of course, I picked times that I was going to improve my 100 by a second in 1 year. Well, that usually doesn't happen. No. But I was ambitious. And he's like, well, why don't we dial that back and make it realistic? So what he did is he taught me how to set goals that were challenging but achievable. So I've been doing that my whole life ever since then. So when I got here, I sat down and I assessed what's going on. And a lot of people kept saying, we want a stadium and we want this and we want that. And sat down with all the stakeholders, and I gave them kind of some visionary ideas, and they said, yes, how about this? And all of a sudden, and then we set a goal that this thing's going to be done in 2021, all of them. So in a little over 5 years, we'll have put in over $100 million of assets into this campus. Looks like we're on target.
Before I slide this question on over to Josh, I got to ask, what was your favorite or what was your best event in track?
My best. Well, I love the relays. I ran the 400 and the 1600 relay. So
okay.
It was painful when you run an anchor on the 1600 and you're behind by 40 meters. That wasn't fun. But I really just liked the camaraderie, where we used to practice together. We warmed up together. One of us always had a baton in our hand, exchanging batons back and forth while we did our warm-up laps. We were like a unison of however many of us we got together, between 4 and 6 of us. We looked like this chain going down. We'd pass the baton back and we'd pass it forward and we'd pass it back. We were just always together. We became this really great sense of friends. And really, it didn't matter who ran first, second, third, or fourth leg. It was like, let's just go get it. And it was just a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. I'm a little bit biased towards track, but it is what it is.
Now, Dr. Downs is being modest here. He's being modest on his 400 time. I think 47s, 48. What was the best time there?
That's moving.
I turned to 48, but I was chasing a guy. I don't know if they have to have the asterisk there, chasing somebody.
No.
There was a guy that ended up winning the state meet in California. Yeah.
Yeah. No asterisk there. Yeah. You would have dusted me. Now going over to Josh here. Josh, what are some of the lessons you picked up, from sports, whether that be high school on up? You played football and other things like that. So what are the things that you gained from sport?
I think, I grew up, my dad was a high school football coach. So just being around, every Friday night, it's been the same thing probably my whole life. I've always had an event. It's been a lifestyle. So I think that's how I've, adapted and embraced this lifestyle, because it is a lifestyle. If you're working in college athletics or university, you're on call 24/7 and you're always at events. And so I think at a young age, being the manager for the football team and always being around my dad and the guys, that's probably what got me into college athletics. But the big picture, what I learned is, as a Division III student athlete, which we did beat Northern when we played. I think it was 2001 maybe. But I think you got a chip on your shoulder. At least I did, especially when I started maybe my career of being that, that non-scholarship person who had to work maybe harder than anybody. And that, I wasn't really like that in college. I probably didn't work as hard as I should have. But just being part of that team and the bonding, I think that those are the things that I learned. And again, you got to work for what you get. And I think that's something that, in that environment, I think that helped me, take those skills over to what I'm doing here.
Yeah, and kind of, we'll go back to Dr. Downs on this one too in a minute here. Kind of building off those things that you learned. Do you have a specific leader, or maybe it's someone you've never even met? Do you have a specific leader or coach that kind of, impacted how you lead people today?
You want to go first, Josh?
Go for it.
Okay. There's a group of people that I've gotten to work with in higher ed. One was the dean that hired me. His name's a great Texas name, Bobby Ray Patton, from Fort Worth, Texas. Really great guy. He just really kind of taught me how to navigate higher education and how to prepare yourself for a career. Then I worked for a woman named Margaret Hartman. And Margaret was the provost in the Cal State campus where I was, Los Angeles. And she was very organized, really just a very intentional person. But, she was raised by a Navy commander, so she had good structure in her life. And then the third person was a guy that I still talk to regularly. His name's Bob Smith. He was been a college president a couple places, and now he does faculty and staff and administrative development for the whole University of Tennessee system. So they have next generations of leaders. But yeah, he was just a guy that he just really built a great sense of community on campuses where he worked. And it was nice to see somebody that could do that. He knew the staff, he knew the faculty. He just really treated his campus like an extended family, which is something I really believe.
That's awesome. Yeah. Josh, you had a little bit of time to think there?
Yeah. So when I went to Central Michigan University after my undergraduate degree, Brian Kelly was his first year coaching football there, and he went from a Division II school to Central, and just being around that program and the confidence that he had, and it's amazing how he didn't let drama affect him. From the day-to-day operations, you can kind of see why he's been successful at Notre Dame and throughout his entire career. So just seeing that piece, and then I had my boss that I shared an office with, Derek Vandermeer, his name is, but he's the essentially the COO of the University of Arizona Athletics. Derek's a guy that, to be in that, a small office with him for 2 years, when he was the senior associate at Central, just learned so much and really helped shape my career. I mean, it's just amazing, how smart this guy is and what he's done, and the kind of the tenacity. He attacks everything every single day. So, I'd say, Derek's my guy, and he's doing great things out at Arizona, and it was great to be in that environment with him.
Awesome. Well, that's kind of our last question here, and we'll round things out. Is any little, tidbits of wisdom you want to pass along to people for the coming weeks? Any other information you guys want to share with people watching today? Well,
I think we're kind of in this interesting time in in the history of the world. And we just have to take a deep breath and go day to day and figure out how to navigate. We'll keep doing what we do to improve the campus, take care of the campus, continue to serve the students online, and with the expectation that, we come back in the fall and we get back at it and things look normal. And I hope the virus cooperates and just dies on its own, and is a ending of this chapter that we'll all remember quite well in the rest of our lives. It's just, we have to stick together. I'm really impressed with faculty, staff, and coaches staying in contact with students, really keeping them focused. Let's finish the semester, finish strong. You're going to learn a new set of skills about how to learn online, and that's what actually happens when you work in industry. There's a lot of online learning and distance learning. So it's just a new skill set that they're going to get while they're in college, and it'll be something that they'll always remember. But I want them to remember it fondly, and I definitely want them to come back to campus as soon as we can.
Yeah, it's really a testament. Everyone, from the top to the bottom, has done a really good job with adapting to the new circumstances, and it's really it's awesome to see how everyone's kind of rising to the challenge here. Josh, any parting words for athletic fans who are maybe kind of wondering what's going to happen, with athletics in the coming months, or any parting words here for?
Yeah, right now it's a time where we got to use this as an opportunity to get better, and I think our coaches are doing that with their communication. They're on Zoom sessions all the time. They're working to obviously keep retention high. For our fans, we'll follow what the NCAA comes out with. There's a task force that's meeting at through all levels, and there's a lot of people involved there. That'll work itself out, but I think the key message is, we are so close to where we want to be with our program and our student athletes. We broke through in a couple sports already, and we've got a lot of great things, great coaches who are dedicated to their student athletes and really being the best program in the Northern Sun Intercollegiate Conference. And I believe that 100%. We've got the best president, we've got the best facilities. We're making progress every day, but it starts with our supporters, and we're going to ask them to keep supporting us and help us bring these awesome student athletes here and get us to that next level. And things like facilities help and make a huge impact. I'm just talking with Coach Schmidt in football here, and what's happening on the recruiting front with Northern football is phenomenal. And the kind of student athletes we're bringing in here, and guys committing sight unseen to Northern because they can feel the energy and juice from our staff and fellow student athletes and what's going on Twitter and different things. So, I think you go across our programs, you can take a look at every single one. You can see some positive momentum happening. And so I think that's what makes us, our staff, excited to come to work every day, knowing that, we're all competitive. That's why we're in this profession. But I feel like this is the time where, we're the best team in the conference, and we don't take a backseat to anybody and in this region, and we're going to keep the foot on the gas.
Mic drop there. Okay. Well,
love it.
I think that's about as good of an ending as we're going to get. It's two, great positive outlooks that I think we can all agree that's great. I love it. So with that, that kind of wraps up episode 3 of the Wolves Coffee Hour here. Well, coffee hour getting over at 6:10, a little late for coffee, but nonetheless, you guys can tune in next Tuesday at 5:30. I think baseball, Austin?
Yeah, I believe baseball is who we have on tap for Tuesday. So we'll look forward to talking to some student athletes and Coach Barry.
Excellent.
Okay.
Nice job. Go Wolves.
Thank you.
Awesome, guys.
Yep.
Go Wolves.
Thanks for watching. We will see you next week.
Okay.